Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to learn about the somatic sensory pathways. The pathways which carry impulses of somatic sensation from various parts of the body to the brain are called somatic sensory pathways. There are two types of sensations which are special sensation and somatic sensation. Special sensations and somatic sensations. The difference between the special sensations and somatic sensation is that the special sensations are always carried from the special senses, including the eye, including the nose, including the tongue, and including the ear. So the special sensations are always carried from special senses. The impulses which are carried from special senses are called special sensations, while the somatic sensations are carried from various parts of the body, excluding the special senses. For example, the impulses of pressure, the impulses of touch, the impulses of pressure, the impulses of touch, the impulses of pain, the impulses of temperature, the impulses of vibration, the impulses of proprioception. So all of these are etc. All of these are somatic sensations which are carried from various parts of the body to the brain, and we will learn about the pathways of these sensations, the pathways of somatic sensation, the to the cerebral cortex. So there are three pathways which carry impulses from various parts of the body to the brain, or from various parts of the body to the cerebral cortex. This diagram depicts the first pathway. This diagram depicts the second pathway, and this diagram depicts the third pathway. We will learn number by number. The first pathway, which carry impulses from various parts of the body to the cerebral cortex, is called this pathway. This pathway is called posterior column median lemniscus pathway. Posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. This diagram depicts the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. This diagram depicts the anterolateral pathway. This pathway, the anterolateral pathway. You can also call it as the spinothalamic pathway. While the third one, this diagram depicts the third pathway, the third somatic sensory pathway, which is the trigeminothalamic pathway. So these three pathways carry the somatic sensation from various parts of the body to the cerebral cortex. Sorry. First of all, the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. Going towards the first pathway, each of these pathways are having three order of neuron. Each of these pathways, you can see that the green color neuron, the red color neuron, and the blue color neuron. Over here, the green color neuron, the red color neuron, and the blue color neuron. Over here, the green color neuron, the red color neuron, and the blue color neuron. Each of these pathways have three order of neuron. I'm going to write the order of neuron over here. Next page. Three order of neurons are there in each pathway. First order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron. three orders of neuron are there in each pathway, which, for example, in the first one we can see that the green color represent the first order neuron, the red color represent the second order neuron, and the blue color represent the third order neuron. The first order neuron will always carry impulse from the from where from receptor to the spinal cord or medulla oblongata or brain stem. The first order neuron will always carry impulses from receptor to the spinal cord or brain stem. The first order neuron over here carry impulse from the receptor to the spinal cord. Impulses from receptor to the spinal cord or to the brain stem. So the first order neuron will always carry the impulses from receptor to the spinal cord directly or to the brain stem. The second order neuron will always carry the impulse from spinal cord or from brain stem or from spinal cord to where? To the thalamus. The second order neuron will always carry impulses from spinal cord or from brain stem to the thalamus. So over here we can see that the first order neuron carry impulses from the receptor to the brain stem, and the second order neuron carry impulses from the brain stem to the thalamus. The second order neuron in the next slide you can see the second order neuron carry impulses from the spinal cord to the thalamus. Over here the second order neuron carry impulses from the pons or from the medulla to the thalamus. We will learn it in detail in the next um, order. The third order neuron will always carry impulses from thalamus to cerebrum. From thalamus to the cerebrum. And now coming towards the first posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. This diagram depicts the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. In this diagram, we can see that the first order neuron enters the spinal cord and goes directly to the brain stem. And from the brain stem, the second order neuron starts, and the second order neuron goes from the brain stem to the thalamus, and the third order neuron goes from the thalamus to the respective cerebral cortex. Now, why this pathway is called medium lemniscus pathway or posterior column medium lemniscus pathway? Because there are two tracts in this pathway. One tract is the posterior column. Posterior column is made by the first order neuron. Over here, this first order neuron and this first order neuron. So this tract goes posteriorly in the spinal cord. That is why this is called posterior column. This make this tract, the tract of the axon of first order neuron, is called posterior column. That is why this is called posterior column. And medium lemniscus. Medium lemniscus is the tract made by the axon which arises from the brain stem to the thalamus. The tract which is made by the axon of the neuron from the brain stem to the thalamus, that tract is called medium lemniscus. This is medium. This tract made by the axon is medium lemniscus. So two types of tract is there in this pathway. That is why this is called posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. One tract is the medium lemniscus tract, and the other tract is posterior column tract. So two order neuron make two types of tract in this pathway. That is why this is called. So the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway is for deep sensation. This pathway is for deep sensations. Why this is for deep sensation? Because this carry impulses from depth of the body to the brain and to the spinal cord. Why? How this carry deep sensation? I'm going to do it in detail. The sensation are the somatic sensory sensations of fine touch, the somatic sensory sensation of vibration, somatic sensory sensation of pressure, the somatic sensory sensation of proprioception. This is also very important one, etc. All of these are the deep sensation which are carried from various parts of the body to the brain. So the fine touch is pursued as uh, deep sensation. The vibration is also a deep sensation, and the pressure is also deep sensation. While the proprioception is also, the proprioception is carried from the proprioceptors, and proprioceptors are the receptors which are available in the joints, which are available in the bones, which are available in the muscles, which are available in the tendon. Three major sites of proprioceptors are the joints, the muscles, and the tendon. So the impulses from the joints, from the tendon, and from the muscles are carried uh, to the brain through the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway. In this pathway, two types of inlet neurons are there. One types of first order neuron carry sensation from upper parts of the body, and the other first order neuron carry from lower parts of the body. This first order neuron carry impulses from lower parts of the body, and this carry from upper parts of the body. From lower parts of the body mean from the lower trunk and from lower limbs, while from upper parts of the body mean from upper limbs and upper trunk, from upper limb and upper trunk, including the neck and including the posterior head. So, two types of impulses are there. The impulses of deep somatic sensation from upper parts of the body are carried by this type of neuron, this first order neuron, and from lower parts of the body are carried from this first order neuron. But this first order neuron make a tract, a separate track, and this neuron, this first order neuron make a separate track, and this first order neuron goes to a separate nucleus over here, and this first order neuron goes to a separate nucleus over here. I'm going to do it in detail. The first order neuron of this pathway, the first order neuron of the posterior column medium lemniscus pathway, are two types that may be from upper limb and upper trunk, including the neck and including the posterior head. The second first order neuron, second type of first order neuron over here, which carry impulses from lower limb and lower trunk. So from lower limb and lower trunk, this first order neuron carry impulses, and from upper limb and upper trunk, this order of neuron, this first order neuron carry impulses. But the from upper limb and upper trunk, the impulses will go to a separate nucleus. From the upper limb and upper trunk, the impulses will go to a separate nucleus, while from the lower trunk and lower limb, the impulses will go to a separate nucleus. From the upper limb and upper trunk, the impulses will go to this nucleus, this lateral nucleus, and this nucleus is called cuneate nucleus. Which nucleus? Cuneate nucleus. The cuneate nucleus is present laterally in the brain stem, laterally in the medulla oblongata of the brain stem. So the from upper limb and upper trunk, the impulses will be carried to the cuneate nucleus over here. Cuneate nucleus, this lateral cuneate nucleus or this lateral cuneate nucleus. But from the lower limb and lower trunk, the impulses will be carried to the this midline nucleus, nucleus which is present in the midline in the medulla oblongata of the brain stem. So this nucleus is called gracile nucleus. Once again, I'm going to maximize this. The first order neuron will enter into the spinal cord anywhere from the body, that will enter into the spinal cord. But if the impulses are from the upper trunk or from the upper limb, mean from hands, so these will enter into the spinal cord and goes directly to the cuneate nucleus, which are available laterally, which are present laterally in the medulla oblongata. If the impulses are from lower limb or from lower trunk, then this neuron will go directly towards the gracile nucleus. The gracile nucleus are two in number, and these are present medially in the medulla oblongata. These neurons will not make any synapse below this point. This will not make any synapse below this point. So the first order neuron, this track is called cuneate track, and this track is made. This track is called gracile track. So because this track goes to the gracile nucleus and this track goes to the cuneate nucleus. So after coming toward the gracile nucleus or the cuneate nucleus, the first order neuron will make synapse with second order neuron, and second order neuron will goes towards the thalamus. But over here the decussation will take place. Decussation means the crossing over will take place. The neuron or the impulses from the right side will be shifted toward the left one, and the impulses from the left side will be shifted toward the right one. The neuron will cross over from the left side. This neuron will cross over from left side toward the right thalamus, and this neuron will cross over from the right side toward the left side of the thalamus, because the impulses of the right side are pursued by the left side of the brain or the left side of cerebral cortex, and the impulses from the left side is pursued by the right side of the cerebral cortex. So this crossing over is called decussation. This crossing over is called decussation. This is called what? Decussation. Decussation is the crossing over of neuron from right to the left. Crossing over, these two types of neuron cross over upon each other. You can see make a cross. So this crossing over is called decussation. Due to this crossing over, due to this decussation, the impulses of the right side is pursued on the left side of the brain, and the impulses of the left side is pursued on the right side of the brain. Due to this decussation of the medium lemniscus, or here the tract formed by these decussated neuron are called medium lemniscus. The tract made by this group of axon is medium lemniscus. So from the thalamus it will goes to the cerebral cortex, to the respective side, to respective side of the cerebral cortex. It will not go to the other side, it will go to the respective side, and from this side of the thalamus it will goes to the left side of the cerebral cortex. So three order of neuron are there. The first order neuron either from the upper limb and upper trunk, the second order neuron either from lower limb and lower trunk, will carry impulses toward the gracile nucleus, and this will carry impulses toward the cuneate nucleus. From cuneate nucleus, the uh, the second order neuron will carry impulses to the opposite side of the thalamus, and from this nucleus the impulses will be carried to the opposite side of the thalamus. So if the impulses are carried from this cell, from this cuneate nucleus, this will also cross over, this will cross over here, and this will go to the left, to the right side of the thalamus. So from the right thalamus, it will goes toward the right cerebral cortex. So this was all about the first first type of pathway, that is posterior column medium lemniscus pathway, and this is for deep sensation. Now coming toward the second type of pathway, this pathway carried impulses of crude sensation, not deep sensation, the superficial sensations. I'm going to write it. The anterolateral pathway or the spinothalamic pathway. This pathway carry impulses of crude sensation or superficial somatic sensation from various parts of the body to the brain. But one thing should be kept in mind, that from any part of the body below the neck, including the neck and below the neck, the impulses are carried by the first order neuron. The first order neuron will enter directly into the spinal cord. The first order neuron will enter directly into the spinal cord. This this second pathway, the anterolateral pathway, is also called spinothalamic pathway, and this is for superficial sensation. Superficial sensation mean the sensation of crude touch, the sensation of temperature, the sensation of pain, the sensation of itch, etc., which is pursued superficially upon the skin or superficially on the body, excluding the spatial senses. So these sensation are superficial sensation, and these are carried by the anterolateral pathway or spinothalamic pathway. This is called spinothalamic pathway because this goes directly from the spinal cord to the thalamus. This will not make any synapse in the brain stem. That is why this is called spinothalamic. This will go directly from spinal cord to the thalamus. This will not make any synapse in the brain stem. So the first order neuron will directly enter into the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. Over here, it entered the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and inside the spinal cord, the second order neuron will be there, which will make synapse with the first order neuron, and it will decussate to the opposite side. This is decussation in the spinal cord. In the first order neuron, the decussation was in the brain stem, but in the second pathway, the decussation was in the spinal cord. The first order neuron will make synapse with second order neuron, and second order neuron will go to the opposite side, and on the opposite side it will goes in a tract. It will go in a tract, and that tract is called spinothalamic tract because this tract is from spinal cord to the thalamus. It will go directly to the thalamus. The second order neuron will go directly from any part of the spinal cord. If it enters over here, it will goes on the opposite side of the spinal cord and go to the thalamus. If it enters over here, what will be happen? If it enters over here in the dorsal horn, it will goes on this side and goes on the opposite side, on the right side, and goes to the respective thalamus. So it goes. This is called anterolateral because it goes on the anterior side, laterally on the anterior side. This pathway goes laterally on the anterior side, not on the posterior side. It goes laterally on the on the anterior side, and this one was posterior column. This goes posteriorly, the first pathway, while this one goes anteriorly. This is called anterolateral. This goes on the lateral side of the on the anterior spinal cord. On the lateral side of the anterior portion of the spinal cord, it goes this pathway, and this tract is called spinothalamic tract. The second order neuron makes spinothalamic tract on the left side or from the on the right side, on the lateral side of the anterior spinal cord. So um, in the front of uh, anterior horn, not the dorsal horn. Okay, the ventral horn and the so it will make over here a tract on right side or left side, and it will goes to the thalamus, and in the thalamus it will make synapse with this third order neuron, and third order neuron will go to the cerebral cortex. So this was all about the second pathway, the spinothalamic pathway or the anterolateral pathway, but it may carry impulses from any part of the body below the neck, from any part of the body, from upper limb, from upper trunk, from lower limb, from lower trunk, from the posterior head, from the neck, from all these parts, the impulses will be carried on the by the anterolateral pathway, and this will make directly synapse in the spinal cord. It will not make any synapse in the brain stem. That is why this is called spinothalamic. The third pathway that is called trigeminothalamic pathway. This is called trigeminothalamic pathway because the trigeminal nerve make pathway with the thalamus. That is why this is called trigeminothalamic pathway. In this pathway, the first order neuron will directly enter into the brain stem, into the pons portion of the brain stem. This is the pons and this is the medulla. From this portion to this portion, this is the brain stem, and the lower part, this is medulla, this is medulla oblongata, and this is the brain stem, and this is the pons. This is the pons of the brain stem, and this is the medulla oblongata of the brain stem. So the neuron, the first order neuron, will directly enter into the pons of the brain stem, will directly enter into the pons of the brain stem, either from the right side or from the left side. So when it enters into the brain stem, it enters into the pons, it will make synapse with the pons and cross over to the opposite side. This goes to the opposite side, to carry impulses to the opposite side. That's why over here this is also called decussation. This is also called decussation. So this decussation is from the right side toward the lower to the left side, and it will go to the respective side and the thalamus. And in the thalamus, it will make synapse with the third order neuron, and it will go to the respective side in the cerebral cortex. So the neuron will either enter into the pons and make synapse with the pons, and that neuron will go to the opposite side in the pons and goes to the thalamus. Or it may come to the pons, it may enter into the pons and goes descending order. It will descend down to the medulla oblongata and make synapse with the neuron in the medulla oblongata, and then from the medulla oblongata that will go toward the thalamus. Two types of neurons are there. One types of uh, first order neuron make synapse with the neuron in the pons region, and the other types of neuron which enter into the pons, but it will make synapse in the with the neuron in the medulla oblongata region, and that neuron will go directly towards the thalamus. If this type of neuron enter on this from this side, both type of neuron can enter from right side or from left side. So if this neuron enter from this right side, this will go toward the pons, and this will descend down and make synapse with the neuron in the medulla, and then will go from this side to the towards the thalamus. So the the trigeminothalamic pathway, the impulses is carried by the dendrite toward the cell body, and from the cell body it will be transferred towards the toward the pons. The neuron will directly enter into the pons. It will never enter into the medulla oblongata. It will enter into the pons, and from the pons it will make the synapse with the neuron, and that neuron will cross over to the opposite side and goes to the thalamus, or it will descend down. This neuron will descend down to the medulla oblongata and then cross over to the opposite side, and then will go to the thalamus, and from thalamus it will go to the respective side of the cerebral cortex. The trigeminothalamic pathway carry impulses from the upper part of the body. Upper part of the body mean above the neck. It carry impulses from the face. It carry impulses from the oral cavity. It carry impulses from the nasal cavity. The trigeminothalamic pathway carry impulses of superficial sensation as well as deep sensation. Deep as well as superficial sensations. The impulses which I have described before, the deep sensation are deep superficial deep sensation are superficial somatic sensation that are carried from the oral cavity, from the nasal cavity, or from the face. So the trigeminothalamic pathway is for carrying the impulses from face, from nasal cavity, from oral cavity, or from the teeth also. And these sensation may be superficial, or these sensation may be deep sensation. Just like in the previous one, the anterolateral pathway was for only superficial somatic sensation, while the posterior column medium lemniscus was for deep sensation. While this pathway, the trigeminothalamic pathway, is for both type of sensation, that may be deep, that may be superficial, but from the upper part of the body, mean from the face and from the oral cavity and nasal cavity.